Hello everyone and welcome to the RV Inspection and Care channel. I'm Dwayne and I'm a certified RV inspector. And today we're going to be talking about the best fifth wheel brands or manufacturers, the ones that are kind of recognized as putting out the best overall product. And now this video is one in a series that I'm making about best brands and manufacturers in different kinds of RVs. So for instance, I'm going to put links in the description below to other videos I made about Class A's and C's and so on. And that way, if you want to check out my recommended list in those kind of RVs, you can. But now, let me start by saying that my list here today is really just an opinion. That's what it is. It's my opinion, and it's been formed from several things. Number one, from actually going through a lot of RVs, inspecting them, also from visiting and doing research by visiting websites online, you know, forums, and review sites and just RV websites and so on. But also I talk to a lot of RVers too, and like to ask them you know, about their opinions. Give me some feedback about what you have. And so my opinion has been formed from all of those things. If what I think doesn't really match your opinion, well, that's okay. You're certainly entitled to have your opinion, and that's okay. This is just my viewpoint on it. It's just information about fifth wheels in general. That's the way you can take it. Now, there are a couple of things I do want to mention before we get into the list. And that, first of all, is you can't really fairly and honestly compare high-end RV fifth wheels with entry-level or low-cost fifth wheels. It just isn't fair at all. They're made for two different kind of buyers, two different kind of applications and so on. So you know the rule that you generally get what you pay for? Well, it applies here. And so if you pay more, you should expect to have better quality and better fit and finish and better customer service and all those kinds of things. So bear in mind that I'm going to split my list up of manufacturers that build for the high end, for the mid-range, and for the low cost. And generally speaking, let me mention this as well. Fifth wheels are sort of made in this way. On the high end, those are great for full-timers. You can actually live in those RVs just fine. On the mid-range, well, those are really good for snowbirders or extended vacations. They'll do fine for that. And on the lower cost end, well, those are mainly made for weekend warriors, and they'll do fine for that application. So just a little information about what these manufacturers are actually making their product for. Also, we're going to go into the used market in this list as well. Not just focusing on new units, but going back about 10 years. And so that way, those of you that are looking for a used fifth wheel, you'll have a little guidance on brands and manufacturers that you might want to be looking for on there as well. Well, that covers all that. Let's get into the list itself. Here you go. Okay, let's get started on the list, and we're going to go back 10 years right now. And we're going to take a look at fifth wheels that were made about 10 years ago and see which manufacturers I feel really were turning out the best products back then. And the first one we're going to mention is Newmar. Now that may be a surprise because some of you folks, if you haven't been around RVs for a while, you're used to Newmar just building motorhomes. Well, years ago they were also a fifth wheel manufacturer. In fact, they made them on up to 2012. So if you can get your hands on an older Newmar fifth wheel, generally speaking, you're going to get some good quality there. Now, another manufacturer from 10 years ago that's on my list is DRV. They used to be called DoubleTree, and now they've just shortened it to DRV. And let me tell you, they make some luxury coaches, very high quality. There are three brands or three names that they have put out over the years: Mobile Suites, Elite Suites, and then they have a toy hauler that's also called the Full House. and all of them are really well made. So if you're looking 10 years back, DRV is a great manufacturer. Another one on that higher end is New Horizons. Now, New Horizons, they don't even want to be really big. They're focusing on building quality. In fact, you can even get a custom built fifth wheel from them, and many of those older ones from say 10 years ago, if you can find one that's really in good shape and been kept up well, then most likely you're going to have a really fine product there. Now, on the mid-range area from 10 years ago, we're going to start with Jayco. Jayco is a great company. They have a very loyal following, a lot of fans of Jayco from customers that are using their products. And as well, I mean, they use a lot of Amish craftsmanship, so that's a big plus as well. Just generally speaking, in the mid-range there, Jayco is something you might want to look at. We're going to also add in that section Keystone. Now, Keystone was making very good RVs, generally speaking, older RVs back 10 years ago, especially in the fifth wheel market. Cougars and Montanas, why, their whole reputation was pretty much built on those units, and they have a lot of fans out there. So we're going to include Keystone in that discussion of 10-year-old fifth wheels. I'm also going to add KZ as a manufacturer that puts out a really good product. They have a very wide selection to choose from. They are really known for their factory support. So if you have issues of any kind, get a hold of them. And the feeling is among people that own KZ products, you're going to get those things taken care of. So that's my list of mid-range good brands from 10 years ago. Now, on the low end, I'm going to mention 3 brands, and some of you are going to have some issues with this, I'm sure. But let me mention and remind again, you just cannot compare the quality from a lower cost fifth wheel with those in the mid-range and higher. They are made for a specific reason. Like I said, they're made mainly just for weekenders. So understand that. And so having said that, I'm going to recommend Coachmen, Forest River, and Dutchmen. Now, keep in mind that you're not going to see great fit and finish from these brands, but you will get a good quality coach for the money that you pay for it. And if you're weekend RVing, well, it might be just the thing for you. Now let's step up a little bit. Let's come up to the modern day. And things have changed a little bit in the fifth wheel market. And today on the high end, I'm still going to include 2 of those brands that were great 10 years ago. And that's DRV and New Horizons. They've been going strong for a decade. Now, I'm going to add a couple more though on that higher cost tier. And one I'm going to add is Van Lay. Now, Van Lay has connections to the Tiffin family. And if any of you know much about motorhomes, especially Class A's, well, you know that Tiffin has a sterling reputation there. And so the family has brought that kind of experience into their fifth wheels. And in fact, the Beacon model that they make rivals almost anything out there, even the ones DRV makes. So it's a very good quality company. The next one I want to mention on the new, on these manufacturers from today is Grand Design. We can't even get out of here today without talking about Grand Design. Very popular company. They really have not been around that long, but boy did they catch on. They are known for excellent customer service. So we're going to put them in that higher end list. Now in the mid-range, I'm going to keep a couple manufacturers from 10 years ago. We're going to still go with Jayco. We're still going to go with KZ. But I cannot really, in good conscience, recommend Keystone to be in that that top layer of builders in the mid-range. Not anymore. Their quality's sort of fallen off in recent years, so I'm going to replace Keystone with Outdoors RV. Outdoors RV is a smaller company, but boy, are they really trying to focus on quality, and they have an extremely loyal customer group that are very vocal about them. So we're going to put them in the mix in the mid-range. Now back to the lower cost fifth wheel RVs for today. I'm going to keep two of those that I mentioned for 10 years ago, and that is Coachmen and Dutchmen, but I'm not going to include Forest River. Again, my feeling is Forest River's kind of fallen off in their quality as they've been approaching 2021. So instead, I'm going to insert Palomino here. Palomino's a fine brand. Really, if you're looking for a weekend fifth wheel, they deserve a look. Well, there you go. That's my list of the best brands, best manufacturers from 10 years ago and today. Let me remind one more time, all these kind of lists are very subjective, based on opinions, and you shouldn't just feel that you have to buy a brand that's on my list or that you shouldn't buy a brand that's not on the list. Really, what I've provided for you is just information that you can use in any way you like as you're looking at fifth wheels. Now, a couple things I want to talk about here at the end, and that is that, first of all, if the RV that you're looking at is 10 years old or older, well then, you know, truthfully, brands don't count nearly as much back then as how the coach was maintained over the years. So you need to be looking not only for quality build, but how has it been maintained by the owners during the life of that coach thus far. And finally, when it comes to new RVs, bear in mind that when we're talking about quality and quality control, it's all relative in the RV industry. If you compare this industry with other industries, some other industries, you're going to find that the quality control is a lot less than other industries. But when we're talking about the best brands, the best manufacturers for RVs, well, we're comparing it to other RV brands and manufacturers. What that means is if you're buying a new one, honestly, quality control is not really where it should be in the industry. I'm hoping to see it improve. And in the meantime, it may be a good idea for you to actually have that new RV inspected by a certified RV inspector. And that way you can make sure that you take care of any quality control issues before you take ownership. Well, I hope you enjoyed what I've covered here today. I hope it's been very helpful for you. And that's it for now. Have safe and happy travels, my friends. Until next time.